All right, day two just concluded. Texans training camp day two is a wrap. I have not one, not two, but three guys who've done very well for themselves early on. Now, it is early. They haven't put the pads on, but these are three guys, not randos. And I'm not going to sit here and bring up guys at the top of the roster because we expect those guys to perform. And quite frankly, if they don't perform in practice, then it's not the end of the world. Because you expect them to ball out on Sundays.
We in here talking about practice.
For them, it doesn't matter, but for these three guys, I think it does. And they're all at different points in their career, and they're trying to make different levels of impact on the roster, not just this year, but in the short and long term. But there are three guys who've done very well for themselves early on in Texans training camp before they put the pads on. Number one is a guy who's going to make the team via special teams. If he's going to make the team, it's going to be via special teams. Last year, we saw Steven Sims make the roster, and they kept an extra wide receiver because they liked the fact that Steven Sims was a punt returner and a return man. Now, it didn't end up working out, and Steven Sims didn't have damn near close to the track record that this guy has. But early on, Braxton Berrios, who they brought in before the draft, he is the clear, smoothest returner. He's the most excited to do special teams drills. It seems like he's taken on a leadership role. Today and yesterday, like the coaches are pointing to him as kind of the example. Like when they're in the line, we were close enough in the line to where, yeah, that's how you do it. And that's how he's going to make the squad. So Braxton Berrios, his path to making this squad is clear. And so far he's done a good job. And we didn't know whether he was going to be healthy or not. He's been healthy. And he's also here or there made some plays as a receiver, which is not how he's going to make the squad, but he's made some plays as a receiver. And with the way that they like to use slot receivers, we know that they brought in Christian Kirk and then they drafted Jalen Knoll. Having that type of insurance, especially for Kirk, who hadn't been able to stay on the field the last couple of years, is something to keep an eye on. So I think Braxton Berrios has done really well for himself. If they keep 7, I think he's here. I still think he has a chance if they keep 6. But Braxton Berrios, so far, so good. He hasn't muffed any punts. Knoll actually did muff one yesterday, quickly picked it up. But Braxton Berrios has done a good job early on in camp. Number 2 is Solomon Byrd. We know the Texans are elite at edge. Solomon Byrd, kind of one of those guys who has really, really had a hell of an offseason. You go back to minicamp, you go back to OTAs, and during training camp, he has a few sacks. And it's not just one guy that's getting it. Like anyone can get it from Solomon Byrd. That might be a little bit too dramatic. But Solomon Byrd's been good. And when you hear D'Amico Ryans talk about him, it's clear that D'Amico is a fan. This was D'Amico's reaction to Cody Stutes, who you can hear with me live Monday through Friday, 4 o'clock on SNL. Here's D'Amico talking about Solomon Byrd.
Yeah, Solomon, it really started for me. I saw Solomon start to peak in our OTA practices. I saw a guy who kind of finished up how he had that last one of his reps versus Tennessee at the end of the year, where he finished up sack fumble on a quarterback. And since he came back this offseason, he's been doing a really great job. He's consistently been in the backfield. No matter who he's going against, he's done a really great job of working his technique, really getting off the football in a violent manner, really playing faster. And that's one thing that I see from him. He's playing faster. He's not thinking. And now, he's becoming a better player because of that. And I think year 2, it slows down for everybody, right? And Solomon has definitely benefited from having some experience his first year, seeing, what we expect of him. And now he's really flourishing now in camp.
And that's an in-depth breakdown. Like every once in a while, D'Amico will get asked about someone. I think right before that, he was asked about Woody Marks. It was very brief. He hadn't seen much from him. But if you listen to D'Amico, if you kind of grasp like what makes D'Amico tick, he likes developing players. And he likes guys obviously on defense because he's a defensive-minded coach. And you look at Solomon Byrd, like you look up, you're used to seeing, Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter doing their thing. But you look up, and Solomon Byrd's been making a hell of a lot of plays. I think he's probably beat 3 or 4 different tackles to make a sack. And the other thing about him is you kind of see him out there on special teams too. So Solomon Byrd, I don't know if he was on the outside looking in, but it seems like he's one of those guys who's really, really flourishing, and he's really, really developing, and you can see the improvement. And when D'Amico Ryans talks about it like that and kind of confirms what your observation is, and we actually said this before the press conference, and then Stutz asked him, it confirms it. I think Solomon Byrd is another guy who's had a really good start to camp, and I don't know that it gets worse when the pads come on. I think it actually helps him. So Solomon Byrd, he's had a hell of a camp. Number 3, this one's a little bit different. Ariante Ursary. Now, they obviously liked Ariante Ursary. Ariante Ursary was a second-round pick for them. There's a couple of things and reasons why Ariante Ursary is on this list. Number 1, both days of practice, he's been with the ones. Started out at right tackle yesterday, and then today he was at left tackle. He really hasn't, he hasn't been flawless. He's going against Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter, but he's been pretty solid given the expectations and given the fact that pads aren't on. And he's also a guy who this new offensive regime, overseers, offensive coordinator Nick Caley, offensive line coach Cole Popovich, they drafted him. They had a hand in drafting him, and the Texans aggressively went up to get Ursary. And on the flip side, and this is why it's kind of an impact, because if he is competing for a starting job, he's been light years better than Blake Fisher. Blake Fisher has had a rough go of it, which can be expected from tackles, but it's clearly been much worse than what we've seen from Ursary. It can all change when the pads come off, but if you're competing for a starting spot and they start you on both sides on the first 2 days, and the guy that you're competing with hasn't looked that great, kind of a benefit there. So those are the 3 guys. Be on the lookout for the in-depth breakdown of training camp day 2 tonight at 10:30 on the stream, and SNL at 4:00. Business is picking up. It is that time of the year. Those are 3 guys that have benefited early on. Be at practice tomorrow. Got you updated. 365 a year, but especially around now. Keep riding along. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together.